Nissim Yagen Alav Shalom, the Rambam in Hanukkah, the third chapter, he says that after they rededicated the temple, the Hashmonaim, the Kohanim, they made a king from themselves, from the Kohanim. And that's a Hidush, because usually Yehuda, tribe of Yehuda is the kings. And now we see that now a Kohen from Levi, he became king. That's something interesting. And ended up being that they were kings for 210 years until the end of the second Beit HaMikdash, till the second destruction. But in the end, they had a very weird end, the Hashmonaim. The Ramban writes that all of Matityahu's sons died one after the other by the sword. We know that the once Edomite slave named Herod, he made a revolt, took the crown from the Hashmonaim, and killed the entire Hashmonaim family. Until only one daughter was left. They wanted to marry her. She went on the roof and she said, whoever will say that I am from the Hashmonaim family is a liar, is a slave. There's no one left from the Hashmonaim family except me, and she jumped off the roof. She didn't want the slave family to marry her and say, oh, look, we mixed into the Hashmonaim family. No, there's nobody. Such a weird ending, such a tragic ending to this family. Why? Why without them there was no Torah, there was no mitzvot. They saved the whole Jewish people, and this is how they end their legacy. So the Ramban Nachmanides writes, he said the Hashmonaim made a mistake with this, that they changed their role. They were supposed to be Kohanim. Why are you getting involved with becoming kings now? We know that Matityahu ben Yohanan Kohen Gadol, right? Yohanan Kohen Gadol, he was Kohen Gadol for many years, and in the end he became Tzduki. In the end he became a heretic. We know that this happened to them. This tragic ending happened to them. Why? Says the Ramban, because they changed their role. And the Torah says, safeguard your priesthood. Keep your priesthood. Guard yourself. That's enough. That's your job. From the fact that they took someone else's role, they were someone they were not supposed to be. That's what led to their tragic end. So you see that everybody has to learn from the mitzvah of the Hanukkah and from the Hashmonaim, that the part of the idea to learn is know your role, know your place, and focus on building who you are. A lot of times we compare. A lot of times we try to say, if only I was like him, if only my last name was his last name, if only I was his job, if only I was married to a family like that. We sometimes we get jealous and we say, only if could've, would've, should've. But we have to realize that Kadosh Baruch Hu made you the person you are and going through the situation you're going through for a reason. You have a special tikkun that no one else in the entire universe ever did before, ever will do before, only you. And you have to feel your meaning and your purpose. And comparing has nothing one to do with the other. If it's like a person saying, Chaval, why this orange is an orange, it should be an apple. What do you mean? There has to be oranges in the world. There has to be you in the world. Hashem decided that we created you. It must mean the universe cannot exist without you. And you want to be someone else, and you want to pretend to be somebody else. You won't be him, and you also end up not being yourself if you compare and you try to be somebody else. So that's why a person has to learn from the Hashmonaim to trust in Hashem, that He gave you your mission, and you could do it. And you have to come close to Hashem through your role. Rav Kotler Alav Shalom said that a person gets judged for his mitzvot and averot, but he also gets judged for how much of his personal mission did he accomplish. Each person has a mission, and that's why Hashem gave you talents. Why are you good at this and not good at that? Because this is exactly the formula going to help you to become the purpose you're supposed to become. Fulfill the purpose you're supposed to fulfill. He says, imagine an airplane which has a pilot, and there's a flight attendant, right? She helps him. Imagine the pilot says, if only I was a flight attendant. That's it. You, Miss Flight Attendant, come. You fly the plane. I'll deal with the flight attendant. What is this? You have 100 people's lives on the plane. You can't play these games. You have to know your role. Everybody's important. Yes, you can't sit on a plane without food and without someone taking care of you. So you need the flight attendant. You also need somebody driving the plane. Everybody has to know their role. And when you start switching, trying to be somebody else, then Chas v'Shalom, the world does not get what it needs. And Chas v'Shalom, more people, not just yourself, more people suffer. Your family might suffer around you. Other people around you might suffer. Your friends. It's because a person has to know. Hashem will ask you, why did you leave the driver's seat? That's your role. That was your job. Why are you looking somewhere else? Sometimes a person, in our generation, our roles are very, subject to confusion today. People are confused. what's my identity? What do I identify as, right? And we know sometimes the women say, "Oh, if only I could switch the role with the man. They go at work. They're free to do whatever they need to do. I'm in home. I'm in the house, in jail, and I want to get a career also." But at the end of the day, you have to realize that the man can never do the woman's job, and there's a special role, a special tikkun that the woman have to fulfill, and that's also very beautiful. As Rabbi Kiva told all his students, without my wife, I wouldn't be able to teach any of you. So therefore, really, sheli v'shelechem, my reward and your reward, shela, it's really hers. Without her, we're nothing here. We wouldn't be able to do anything. They take care of the kids, they take care of, when we come home, they're there for us, they give us emotional, physical support. So where would we be? The same thing with a person has to view it in their house. The house is like Beit HaMikdash also. It's also like a mini sanctuary, right? The table is the mizbeach, is the altar, right? When a person has meals, and the Gemara says, there's no temple today. So what gives you kapara? Your shulchan. Your table gives you kapara. The Rashi says it means if you have poor people over, it gives you kapara like a sacrifice. So our table is like an altar. The Rizal says on Shabbat, you should have a table that has 4 legs corresponding to the altar, like the 4 corners. The person has to know the father and the mother, they're like Kohen Gadol in the house, and they're leading, and they're doing a lot of tikkunim and a lot of spirituality to give over to the children. And a person has to know that he has to see the beauty in his role and grab it and be happy with it and see the good in it. Because a lot of times we have Yetzirah to see good in other people's roles, and we forget that we have an important mission ourselves. So therefore, a person has to ask himself before the days of Mashiach, are we true to our mission? And are we fulfilling our role? If we're not feel comfortable with our role, we have to learn about our role and then realize that Hashem put us here for a reason.